It is time, once again, to lock your doors, shut your windows, strap yourself into your favorite comfy chair, and tune out and tune into The Naked Zombie.
G'day and welcome to another episode of The Naked Zombie. I'm your host, Brad Scott, and you know what time it is. It is time to rip your gear off, run around it between your legs, pretend you're a girl. I have said that one before, but I just love it. Anyway, joining me on the show tonight, I have Liam.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, excellent.
You're looking mighty fine.
Always good on a Thursday night.
Thursday night. And, of course, joining us, as always, is Wadsy. Hey, big boy.
How you going?
Sore.
I didn't do it.
No, you didn't. No, actually, they did. If people have been following my Facebook page, they know I'm actually on crutches at the moment because I had a run-in with a crowbar.
Yes.
So my knee is actually twice the size of the other one. I'm on crutches for the next week, and it's sort of slowing up my line dancing routine at the public
I thought
bars.
you were square dancing.
No, line dance, it's cooler.
Oh, okay.
Achy, breaky heart stuff. You know how it is.
Yeah, that's cooler about it.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, guess what we're doing tonight? We are not
Mucking around?
We're not. Yeah, we always muck around, but we're not doing the naked debate tonight. We're going to do a special on
Urban legends.
Urban legends, yes, all the good stuff that we talk about. We have myths and mythology, and not really mythology, but more what's happened in modern times with all the cool stuff that's actually becoming more and more prevalent in the paranormal field and in pop culture as well, regarding the Slender Man, black-eyed kids. What else are we going to talk about?
Oh, Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. 3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah.
All the stuff that's been brought to us regarding different stuff that we've seen in TV shows and that, and people have said this has happened, that has happened, and we're just going to discuss that tonight. I think it'll make a very interesting show, and it spice things up a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually stoned on medication at the
If you
moment.
get bored with that, there's always a question or two we can answer.
Oh, there's lots of questions in here too, but we can always go through the questions as well.
Yep.
But what we do is, because I'm pepped up on painkillers, how you doing? Anyway,
I have some.
hey, first thing I'm going to talk about tonight is the black-eyed kid phenomena, or the BEK as it's called. Now, a couple of weeks ago, and I was meant to do this. I got an email because I think it was back in June that we mentioned. We had a bit of a check about black-eyed kids, and I've actually had a couple of people on discussing the phenomena. I've always found it fascinating how these children with jet black eyes will come to your door and want to come in, or your car, or wherever you may be, and the clothes are out of date, and they've got a pungent smell of rotting meat with them, and they just disappear and all the rest of it. Anyway, I've got a very interesting email that was sent through to me. Sender name is Kerry, and that's what I'm going to give you. So I'll just read her little story and see what you guys think. Okay, basically, so you and June put a request for BEK sightings. Well, I reluctantly want to tell you about a sighting that has occurred within our own home. My 14-year-old was in bed one night about 10 p.m. It was dark in the room in the hallway, but there was light enough due to the moonlight in both her room and her brother's room to light the hall dimly. Her brother's room had just adjacent to hers, and she is about 11. She felt like she was being looked at, and when she rolled over, a child about the age of 6 with black hair, black eyes, was standing in tattered cream-coloured dress, stood in the hallway between the two rooms and looked at her. Then my daughter rubbed her eyes and sat up and hollered for me. She was gone. I prayed with my daughter because I blamed demonic activity for this. But about a month later, late at night, I went to pray with my daughter again because she felt like something wasn't quite right. I began to pray, and very quickly I saw the same child run from the dresser and through the door leading to the storage area. I then prayed against the presence, and it left. We have not seen it since. I myself believe that the demonic forces in this world are alive and well. We battle them often, given our old background. Unfortunately, I really do not want my name used or anything you might collect and publish it in any books or broadcasts. I do take the things that we have encountered seriously and do not want further issues to arise from my sharing our story. I have a healthy respect for demons and what they can do, but I know through Jesus I have the power. Thank you for your time. So that was an email, and I'm going to just give the first name as Carrie. She sent that through to us a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And this is thing, people have had a lot of stories about the black-eyed kids. So, yeah, Carrie, look, if you're listening, and thank you for sending that in, you're not alone. Trust me, there's been many, many reported cases, and this is an Australian.
Okay, Australian.
Which is very interesting. I've not heard of anybody experiencing black-eyed kids in Australia.
Well, this is the thing. This is stuff that's just starting to come out of woodworks in the whole paranormal pop culture community. There's lots of things out there we just don't know. Now, her beliefs it's demonic, right? And she used the power of prayer to get this thing to go away, and it hasn't come back since. And in that sense, we hope it doesn't. Whether it's demonic, I don't know, because I've never experienced the phenomenon myself. In some ways, I really don't want to, because just children with jet black eyes just does not do it for me at all.
No, it's freaky.
It is freaky, but this is the thing. To experience this sort of phenomena is, and I think very muchly, wonderful to send that information into the Naked Zombie.
Yep.
So the black-eyed kid phenomena, guys. We've talked about it once or twice before, but now more and more people are coming out with it.
Well, that story itself it seems to have aspects of a number of different kind of stories, about different entities. So, you've got the daughter feeling like she's being watched, which is generally, one of the most common factors in shadow men. Where that feeling of being watched, and it's still got the black-eyed kids aspect thrown in there as well, although this child seems to be in the house without asking to be let in or given permission,
which is unusual for the whole genre of the black-eyed kids, where they will ask permission. It's like a vampire in law. It has to ask permission before it can come into your home, say let me in, yada yada yada. Once you've let it in, you're cactus, so to speak. But it's that same principle. It's got to ask permission first before it actually enters the dwelling. So it's very interesting.
And the fact that two people saw it.
Well, the mother and the child saw it.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's obviously there's more out there than what we thought.
Well, there is a lot more out there, and this is where urban legends and all the mystery of stuff comes in. And like I said, guys, if anyone out there has a story about the black-eyed kids they want to share with us, there is a few books out there now regarding it that people can check out, and it's a very, very cool subject indeed. But anyway, what we're going to talk about tonight also, which is something that has popped up from nowhere in the last 6-8 months, is the Slender Man. Now, if anyone's jumped on my Facebook page, you see the bit of a thing I found in a Walt Disney cartoon, which had someone had drawn in a Slender Man hiding in the bushes. Now, my 11-year-old view on the Slender Man is that there's this tall, thin guy with long eyes that comes along and rips children's intestines out and replaces them with something else. That's great. Thank you, Riley. That's just awesome to know, mate. That's your vision of the Slender Man, because we know there's a video game out there called Slender. Which is supposed to be very, very scary. Now, I haven't actually played it yet, but a lot of reports I have, it's quite... Because basically you've just got a flashlight and you're walking around and you're going through like a maze. You've got to pick up 8 or something pieces of paper it's a diary or something. I haven't played it yet because I've got a Mac and I just can't seem to get it to run properly. I've been dying to.
You've got a Mac.
Stop it. But you had a bit of information about the Slender Man as well, mate.
I do. So it's the Slender Man... it started some years back, but for my best understanding of where the Slender Man originated, was that there was some kind of pop culture, or it was like a horror website that decided to run similar, some kind of competition to come up with the spookiest kind of ghost story that you possibly could. And from my understanding of it, that's where the Slender Man started. It was essentially a fictitious or fabricated story that was put on the website. However, as it was done in such a way and done so well that the information about the Slender Man got out into the community and started being passed around through Chinese whispers and whatnot, to the point where people actually started to believe it. But the scariest part is sometime after it was fabricated and originally, that original story came out, people actually started to come up with personal experiences where they'd actually experienced and been attacked, and seen this Slender Man. So it drew some really sort of interesting concepts of, were people just having, mass hallucination, or, once it was passed around, it's the power of thought, across an entire community enough to actually to manifest something or actually create something, bring it into being. So,
well, that's like the little girl on the Queen Mary, the girl who's meant to drown by the pool and they can hear her voices. She never existed.
Yeah.
And this is a thing, but because the story got out and this little girl's meant to be there, and now they've been picking up EVPs of the little girl.
Well, yeah, lots of EVPs getting around
the little
now,
girl
so.
around, and there's no recorded evidence of her actually being around the pool, in the old pool. So this is where it gets very unusual. Has the Slender Man become such a phenomenon that people are actually experiencing these events and experiencing the Slender Man? And there's actually stories coming out now that people have actually witnessed the Slender Man. It sort of reminds me of that Doctor Who series when he's getting towards the end of his last season, where they had the silence.
Yep.
Going a bit geeky here now, but they had the silence, which was very much based on the Slender Man. Those things wore a black suit, very long arms, and you look at them, then you turn away and you forgot. And this is a thing, and very similar in aspects of, but the Slender Man has no facial features. He wears a suit and just sort of appears, if you know what I mean. But what's happening now is, which is also quite interesting, he's popping up in photos.
Yeah.
And like we said before, I posted something on the website regarding he was drawn in a cartoon.
But that's a drawing, that's not him.
No, but that's Slender Man has actually made his way, and someone's actually taken the time to take the Slender Man legend and put it in the kids' cup in the background.
The teacher in Pink Floyd looks definitely like a Slender Man.
Yes, that's right.
When he's putting the kids through the meat grinder.
Yes. And the kids are faceless as well as they're going through stuff like that. So the Slender Man may have been around for a lot longer than what people assume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is just a history of these weird events in pop culture.
I mean, even looking at it from that point of view, could it even be that, something that is malevolent or, some kind of entity out there has taken the concept of the Slender Man and run with it? Because
it was a good marketing tool.
Yeah, it was, they had like a ready-made market there for people who were, petrified of this one kind of entity. So, whatever was malevolent out there took the form of it because it knew that people were going to be scared.
Well, that's right. I mean, things can be created from sheer imagination. The power of imagination is amazing with people. And when you have enough people believe in it, it could well and truly happen, I guess, because the power of thought, and stuff like that. But what's happening now is the Slender Man has been picked up in photos and everything. And we're not talking about Photoshop photos. We're talking about people's random photos, like sitting in the bushes. I actually came across an old photo today which was set in World War II, and it's actually a bunch of army guys. I think it was World War II. Bunch of army guys, stuff like that, just having the photo, and right up in the back corner.
Did you take the photo?
Yeah, right. I'm that old. Thanks.
Yeah. I'll put that in.
Cheers, my friend. Right in the back corner is an image of the Slender Man, but it's all in proportion. You know what I mean? He's right up in he's always in the back corner. There's also another photo out there of this couple at a monument, and up in the back left-hand corner is a Slender Man, like just the image of him, that tiny little image. You can make him out. You know what I mean? And people are very unaware that this thing. I know it's very easy to Photoshop shit nowadays and that, and it's very easy to put in an image and your brain will tell you what you think it is, but this is an actual image of the Slender Man. So he's popping up more and more, and he's popping up in older photographs because people are looking for it.
Yeah, they know what to look for now. And although it's horrible, I can't think of the name of the experiment, but there was an experiment that was run, a number of decades ago now, where as like a psychology or combined experience experiment, where a group of people were sat down in a room, and they were given the task of actually creating some kind of entity. And over the space and fair space of time, they actually created a complete back history for this entity. And then the whole concept was, once they created this whole backstory about this one person, then using sort of psychic means, could they actually contact, and create the spirit? And they did have some limited success, according to the group in the study anyway, of table tilting and whatnot, being contacted by this entity that had never existed in the first place.
And these things are starting to sort of have a mind of their own, as it were. I mean, and these things are starting to take in a presence of their own.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just... But see, a lot of these are also hoaxes as well. There's the story of the Japanese woman who goes and she's a very, very good-looking Japanese, very beautiful-looking Japanese woman. But you know how a lot of Japanese culture, if they got a cold or something, they wear the face mask?
Yep.
It's the same thing. I guess people have heard about this, is that she'll come up to another beautiful girl or something like that, and she says, "Do I look pretty?" And she's, "Oh, yeah, you look pretty." And then she takes a mask off, and literally she's like the Joker. She's actually got this massive scarring from where supposedly her lover or something, she's a ghost or something, come and just ripped her face apart, literally just cut her face open. And she's got wears this mask to hide it. And what happens is she's such a horrific sight that, the girls suffer the same fate, or so she actually does it to them.
Yep.
So that's another urban legend. Whether it's true or not, I actually don't know. But these are cool. These are things that... it's been called urban legend tripping and stuff like that, where people go out and find evidence of this, which is really cool.
Yeah. But... No, I've lost it.
You lost it?
Yeah.
Right. Look, there's even one about the Japanese girl's suicide drawing. Oh, I don't know if you guys know, but the story of this is Japan. Shortly before a teenage girl committed suicide, she's actually a picture. She drew this picture, scanned it, and posted it online. In Korea, the story broke out and spread like wildfire. There are various posts around Korean forums say that the viewer gets drawn into the girl's blue eyes, and look, they are seriously blue. You have to check this picture out. They say they can detect a hint of wrath and sadness. I'm looking at this picture now, and it's quite off-putting, actually. Beautiful looking girl, but the eyes, it's just weird. The sadness and anger that her spirit haunts the image. Or maybe the image provokes sadness similar to the gloomy Sunday. It's freaky, but it's hard. A person to stare at the girl's eyes longer for 5 minutes. There are reports some people have taken their own lives after doing so. People say the picture changes as you view it, and there's a hint of growing, taunting smirk appearing on the girl's lips, or a dark ring grows around the girl's eyes. This picture looks like a normal... I'm looking at it right now. And seriously, it looks very nice, but no joke, the longer you stare at this friggin' thing, the weirder it becomes. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to. I'm not feeling dark and gloomy just yet.
I was going to say, if we got you on a timer,
yeah. I should just sit there for 5 minutes.
Turn you away just before 5 minutes
and watch me just hobble off with me crutches off in the other room and grab a knife. So there's so much different things, but reports of legends have been happening throughout, happening for the century. The Mothman is an urban legend.
Yep.
And people think, no, it's an urban legend. It's from the Mount Pleasant. I'd interviewed Travis Short on the
around
Mothman.
that area.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant, where the bridge collapsed, and they reckon it was because of the Mothman and stuff like that. There's also one... there's so much out there that we just don't know about, when it comes to urban legends. You got a couple up your sleeve as well, mate, don't you?
Yeah, well...
Go for it. I'm talking my head off here. You go for it.
Yeah, we'll have a look at, 3 Men and a Baby urban legend, which is, that's been kicking around for a number of years
since
now.
3 Men and a Baby came out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the story went that in one particular scene, when Ted Danson walks into the, like an apartment, there's the spirit of a young boy that can be seen peeking out from behind the curtain next to the window. And the urban legend goes to the effect that, the young boy died or was murdered in that apartment complex. and the people who were filming it, inadvertently caught this young spirit looking out from behind the curtain. However, on the flip side of that, and I remember seeing an interview with Ted Danson some years ago, and they were actually, he was questioned about it, and it turned out that that specific scene was shot on a soundstage, so it wasn't even a real apartment. And at some stage when he was a child, he'd done an ad for some various product, and the crew had actually gotten hold of a cardboard cutout of him when he had done the ad, and they stuck it behind the curtain just to, as a bit of a joke, a bit of a laugh to try and get a rise out of him. Which was it was inadvertently caught on the camera. They never intended for it to be caught, but it did. But it just goes to show that obviously somebody started that initial rumor that it was the ghost of a young boy who'd been killed.
It was actually Ted Danson. Cardboard cutout of Ted
within
Danson.
a very short period of time, it just exploded. And even now that was prior to the internet coming into being. So you can only imagine now how quickly. Legends or these rumours can turn into urban legend. Once it's put on the internet.
Yep.
It doesn't take long to spread.
No, that's it.
Now with the internet.
I mean, that's like what's the other one we were talking about before we started the show tonight? Was the actual one about the Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
Another classic urban legend regarding, if you look at the scene when Dorothy lands, actually she lands in Oompa Loompa Land or where it is. I mean, the Munchkinville or whatever.
Yeah.
What do they call it?
Munchkin Land or
Munchkin.
Oz.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, she lands in Oz and she crushes the Dark Witch.
No.
What was it?
Which
The evil witch
One
of
of
the
them.
West or something. East, something like that. Anyway, it's been years since I've seen it. Anyway, but one story is, as all the Munchkins come out, start singing and follow the Yellow Brick Road, they actually pan across, and what you make out in the background is one of the Munchkins is hanging himself off one of the stage props on the back.
Yeah, so I've seen it. It's sort of the skipping past a house that's right up in the background.
Back, and it looks like one of the Munchkins is swinging off a bloody tree. Seriously, like hung himself. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Now we were talking about this before. What's the actual story behind it?
So I've actually, in the original cut of The Wizard of Oz, if you have a look at the scene, you can actually notice it's like a big stork or a crane. It's a big white bird, and you can see it having a bit of a flap of its wings, right up in the back behind all the trees and whatnot. However, I think it was like the 25th anniversary special came out and it was all digitally remastered. And this little munchkin hanging himself actually appears in the digitally enhanced 25th anniversary special, where the bird's been removed out and sort of this extra little scene's been put in there. So it was never ever in the original. It's somebody who's been a bit crafty, whether or not the guy who's doing the digital remastering, one of them was having a bad day that day and got a flat tire on the way to work, decided to have a bit of fun. I'm not sure, but
yeah, there's so many mistakes in that Wizard of Oz. You can see that no one was made it with any. It was a joke the whole way through.
yeah,
Because I mean, if you look at it, when one time when Dorothy's dancing through the cane fields, she's got red shoes on, then she switches to black, then she goes back to red again, and you can see the wires that are holding up the dog's tail, and it's a farce all the way around.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're going. But now we're going
a bit off track, but
no, it's just still it's the thing, and what we're going to, and it's like Bloody Mary. I mean, we're talking of ones that people know about, but do you know what the story is behind Bloody Mary?
it's a drink and I like it.
Okay,
so
right.
which version of the Bloody Mary story?
No, there is bucket loads. Now I'm going to read you the guys.
Bucket loads of Bloody Marys, I like that.
Okay, I'm going to read
Where's
you
the vodka?
one of
I'm
the.
gonna say the show's going downhill from here now.
mention
Bill's
alcohol,
taking over.
things like- And this is one thing I'd see if you guys have got the balls to try. Anyway, this is the story first. A long time ago, there was a little girl named Mary. She grew up very ill and fell into a deep coma. The local doctor was told was old and feeble, and without knowing any better, he believed that she was dead. He informed the family, and they had a funeral and laid the girl to rest. No one realised that they buried the poor girl alive. Mary's family lived very close to the graveyard where she was laid to rest. The first night, Mary's mother thought she heard a scream coming from Mary's grave, but no one believed her. Days later, Mary's mother convinced the family to dig up the grave. When they did, they found Mary dead. but they also saw scratches on the top of the coffin, and Mary's fingernails were bloody from her efforts to escape the grave.
Didn't
Now,
she have a
if you-
cell phone?
Hey?
Didn't she have a cell
Oh,
phone?
God, bloody hell, dude. Seriously. Now...
Pathetic.
Pathetic. Yeah. Buried with a cell phone. That's not a bad idea, actually. It's good.
Yeah,
When you get
would you
signal,
get coverage 6 feet under?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, just to cut in, that actually used to be a major fear.
Yeah, being buried
alive.
in Victorian
Buried alive.
times, and to
That's
the
why they
point
had the
where
bell.
I was only reading in the newspaper, as I do when I'm going through and doing
Yeah.
research, from sort of, it would have been the latish 1800s, of these contraptions that were now readily available on the market, for you to buy. And it was things like, there'd be a pipe that had run from the coffin up above the grave with a
ground.
bell on it, and a piece of string that ran down the pipe. So if you woke up in the coffin because you'd been buried alive,
Yeah.
you could pull on the string and ring the bell. And it was this big article in the newspaper, a whole heap of, a whole range of products that you could buy, to put into place
Imagine
just
the
in case.
market that you corner with that. I mean, jeepers, you could
But
do all sorts of things.
think of the market you can make with the underground cell phone.
As long as you get service.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Ideas, man, here. That has now been patented by Bradley. If you steal it, we'll come after you.
Sell it to Apple.
Yes. Yeah, they'll get it to work.
Yeah, but the thing is, the myth changes a bit with Bloody Mary. Now it says, now you've... Okay, she tried to get out. Now, if you follow these instructions, you may be able to see Mary for yourself. At midnight on Friday the 13th, turn off all the lights in your house, go to the bathroom, turn on the water in the shower and the sink, flush the toilet, look up the mirror and say Bloody Mary 5 times. She will appear in the mirror. You need to hurry, then turn on the light or she will stab you in the back. Bum, bum, bum. 5 times. I thought it was 3
I
times.
thought it was 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is different.
It's on the net. It must be true.
Yeah, there you go. So,
Yeah.
Bloody Mary. So, it's 3 or 5 times, I don't know. But any of you guys be interested in trying that?
Oh,
I'm not
I
going
was
to be in
going
the
to say
bathroom with you.
we've wasted it now. We've had 3 Friday the 13th this year, and we've missed all 3 of them. So
No, turns out you can do it any time. And that's the story I've heard. You
But
can
didn't
go.
it say Friday the 13th?
Yeah, it says Friday the 13th,
Okay.
but that's just one version. And in the version is you can say it 3 times, 5 times, 20
So how many Bloody Marys do you have to see the Bloody Mary?
Mate, you just go to any bar you want and ask for Bloody Mary, and I'm sure they'll give you one on the first call. But I miss it. But it's funny though when people discuss this. I've spoken about people this in the past. Yeah, and I'm a prick when it comes to this sort of stuff. I say, okay, you're a big hero. Go and do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Go and stand in front of the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3, 5 times what it is. And 99.9% of people won't. Just on the off, even though they say they don't believe it,
yeah.
just on the off chance it may be true.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very similar story. The whole Candyman
Oh, Candyman, the same thing. Yeah.
I remember years and years ago when I was at high school, we were off on a school camp, staying in this big boarding house, and it was a fairly old boarding house and fairly basic. It's just sort of wooden cladding on the outside.
Yep.
And I remember one of the guys that I was at school with got dared to go into the bathroom and do the whole Candyman 3 times in the mirror. And the big water pipe, a hot water pipe from the plumbing system used to run. It was bolted against the outside of the wooden cladding right outside the window of the bathroom. And as he got to the 3rd Candyman and spat it out, the hot water system, the pump kicked on and vibrated the pipe along the wall with a big bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And I've never seen someone
Run so
literally
fast.
crap themselves, turn white, and trying to, both, almost at the point of passing out and running at the same time. But,
Oh, dear.
absolutely, ruined this guy, petrified.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. There are so many different, and I've always wondered
There's
why
so many
everyone's.
realistic explanations for the
Yeah,
myths.
of course there
that
is.
if you sat down and thought about it, rather than being
Yeah,
scared
but-
and shitting yourself,
Yeah.
you think that's not possible.
Okay. I got a question for you, Wadsy. Will you go home tonight? When you go home, would you stand in front of your mirror and call out Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror?
Yeah.
And would you let us know how it goes if you come back?
I was going to say, I'll do it in your bathroom here,
No.
and then I'll go home.
No. So I'm a bit iffy about it. No, that's the thing.
You think?
Oh, hell yeah. I wouldn't do it. I'm serious. I would not do it. Just on the off. I know it sounds
So
really
you turn the sink water on, turn the shower water on,
and
flush the toilet,
and say
think-
Bloody Mary 5 times in the mirror.
and she'll appear.
And she'll appear. And you go turn everything on and off, like turn the shower and everything off.
And then
turn
say,
the light on. If you don't, she'll stab you in the back.
But when she appears behind you, I
You're
can just
stuffed,
imagine saying,
eh?
"Oh, look, can you just give me 5 minutes? I need to turn everything off and turn the light back on."
Yeah, well, would you?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
You give it a go.
Yeah.
You know how much people are going to be ringing up now. Is Wadsy still alive?
If I don't come back next week, you know something's happened.
I'm going to hate myself or something. Oh, God.
Well, it's interesting, the whole concept of turning all the water on and flushing the toilet
I don't know
and
what
what
that
kind
is.
of effect that has, because it doesn't actually, it's not an aspect of the original story.
No,
at
it
all,
isn't.
so-
But this is what it's Chinese whispers. The story. It's like
Who killed Roger Rabbit?
Resurrection Mary. They've all got
Well,
Mary in them.
Resurrection Mary, that's a fantastic story.
I mean, you know the story about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can explain
There's-
it better than I can.
Yeah, essentially a girl, who was said to be murdered, but I can't think of the name
There's
of
a
the
couple of
cemetery
different ones,
in the United States. But it's claimed that drivers who are driving along the road late at night will see this girl dressed in white who'll put her arm out and try to hitchhike a ride. And as they go past, I think it might even be like the Resurrection Cemetery.
Yep.
As they drive past the front gates, she'll vanish out of the car. But right up to that point,
She'll hop in the car.
seems flesh
Yeah.
and blood, and she'll talk to you,
Yeah,
right up
yeah.
until you get in line with the cemetery.
Yeah, at the end of the cemetery, then she's gone. She's sort of trapped in that sort of area.
But I remember reading or seeing photos years and years ago of this cemetery. It's got big cast iron gates out the front, and at one stage the gates had actually ended up being twisted, and the chain that sort of locked them up was broken. However, where the gates were twisted, where sort of right near where the lock was, with all the twisted bars, there were like finger marks burnt into the metal, and that was put down to Resurrection Mary as well. But there are a number of different stories that get around that are quite similar, depending on what what place you are, in the world. So
yeah, I mean, it all slightly changes from story to story, but the premises is always the same. Like here's another one for you, and it's all to do with it's called Celebrity Heckler. The setting was a rock concert for the Grand Funk Railroad. Remember the Grand Funk Railroad? Yeah, they no, it might have been
Too modern
after
for
your
me.
time. After playing sometime just a featured guitar solo, someone near the front of the crowd began booing loudly. In response to the booing, a member of the band came to the mic and asked, "If you think you can do better, come up here." Walks up Eric Clapton. Seriously, variations. Look, look, this is variations of Celebrity Heckler. There's so many of them. A stand-up comic is bombing during a routine when he starts to get heckled by someone in the crowd. Competing goes to a couple of rounds with the heckler, but quickly runs out of material. He says, "If you think you can come and do better, why don't you come and try?" Up walks Robin Williams.
Geez, tough audience. Tough audience.
But I mean, these are all the weird stories that like, well, what can you do? You're screwed either way. Actually, we must off a quick commercial break. Before we go to commercial break, though, we just want to put it out there, and I promised my friends I would. Don't forget, it's this Sunday night, and you'll find it on Ustream. And I got to do this for my good mate Don Mears. They have the live investigation
Live,
of the Monte
live.
Cristo. So Spirit Level Live. They got Whisper, they've got Validate, and they got who else they got coming on there? I forget. I know Glenn from Ghost of Oz is going to be there as well. Glenn, a good mate of mine. So 7th of October, 8 p.m, Monte Cristo. You'll find it on Ustream. So if you go to Ustream, you can watch it live via Ustream. Just click on there and you can actually watch the investigation.
watch it
Don's
live,
is-
so-
Watch it live. Watch the investigation and stuff like that. So I'm keen as mustard.
So am I.
So this Sunday, 9th, the 7th of October at 8 p.m. Oh, I'm so excited.
It is. It's going to be excellent. And
I just can't
we were talking about it just before. They've got a lot of experiments that they're going to do.
Yeah.
Just try and get some kind of validation. Try and get some information from the spirits that are said to haunt Monte Cristo. So it should be excellent.
Yes. Anyway, we're going to go for a quick ad break right now, and you're listening to the Naked Zombie Radar of everything from pop culture to the paranormal and everything between. You're joined by myself, Brad Scott, Liam,
Yep.
the sexy Liam, and Wadsy.
I'm still here.
You're still here. We'll be back after these short commercials.
I'll get it.
Dude, dig the zombie motif. Dude, you're going to the 2012 zombie walk? We're here in Brisbane, and in aid of the Brain Foundation of Australia. Dude, I'm there. By the way, can you stop chewing on me now?
Sorry.
That's right, Zombie and Zombettes, the 2012 Brisbane Zombie Walk in aid of the Brown Foundation of Australia. Come and join us on the 21st of October 2012 at Victoria Park for a fun-filled day of fun, excitement and scaring the locals. For more details, go to www.brisbanezombie.com.
With our special on urban legends. Joining me, of course, is Liam and Wadsy. Now, Wadsy, during the ad break, we were talking, you have a fascinating story. Look, I'd forgotten all about this one. I remember it, but I've forgotten about it. But there's a bit of a twist to it. You want to give us a bit of a rundown on it?
Yeah, this is the most famous ghost ship of all, the Flying Dutchman. And it's been reported to be seen in stormy weathers off the Cape of Good Hope, but now and again has been seen in other waters of the world, including Australian waters. For nearly 300 years, the folklore of the sea has spoken of a ghostly Dutch brig condemned to sail the oceans for all eternity. Some people say the original claimed carried the plague, whilst others say that the captain was to blame for her demise, having to now beat Sicily against the gales of Cape Horn. The term Flying Dutchman actually refers to the captain and not the ship. Legend has it the maniacal Dutch sea captain was struggling to round the infamous Cape of Good Hope in the clenches of a ravaging gale that seriously threatened to sink the ship and all on board her. His crew warned him of impending danger that lay ahead, and along with the passengers pleaded for him to turn around. The captain, in either a drunken stupor or suffering from madness, refused to change course. Instead, he pressed on, singing loud and obscene songs, before he lowered himself below to the cabin to drink beer and smoke his pipe. Huge towering waves continued to constantly pummel the sides of the ship. The terrifying winds howled and whistled at the mast of the ship creaked and groaned under the enormous pressure. As the sails continued to tear and rip, the captain held his course, challenging the wrath of God Almighty by swearing a blasphemous oath. Finally, there was a mutiny on board of the vessel. The crew and the ship's passengers attempted to take control of the ship, but as the captain was aroused by the commotion, he killed the leader of the rebellion and threw him overboard. It is said that at that moment the body hit the water, the clouds parted, and a shadowy figure materialised on the quarterdeck. "You're a very stubborn man," the shadow said, and the captain answered him a cuss word. "I've never asked for a peaceful passage," the captain went on. "I've never asked for anything, so clear off before I shoot you too." But the figure didn't move. Drawing his pistol, the captain fired at the spectral being, but the gun exploded in his hand. At this point, the figure spoke again, and this time told the captain he was cursed. "As a result of your actions, you are condemned to sail the oceans for eternity with a ghost crew of dead men, bringing death to all who sight your spectral ship, and to never make port or know a moment's peace," the shadow said. "Furthermore, gall shall be your drink, and red-hot iron your meat." The captain, recklessly to the last, cried, "Amen to that." Many authorities have argued that the story of the Flying Dutchman has its origins from real events, though there is very little agreement about what the event was. Further confusion is brought to the matter by the fact that there are many versions of the tale, in which the ship's skipper is variously named Van der Decken, Van Diemen, Van Damon, or Van Struyten.
Or Barbara Streisand.
Came out of her nose.
She's evil.
Yes. And goes on saying it has been sighted in Australian waters.
Actually, and like you were saying before, it was only sighted about 18 months ago.
Yeah, there's been, in recent years, probably the last 10 or 15 years, there's been a couple of sightings off the African coast. But the story as it goes, there's so many other aspects to it as well. Like it said, that whoever spies the Flying Dutchman will die, and
at sea and all the
and
rest.
there's numerous people, especially I guess back in the day, if you were sort of going around Cape Horn, given that mariners are very, very superstitious as well. You hate to be on lookout duty.
Well, they also, just quickly, sorry mate, but they also blamed, you get a lot of those ghost ships out there, a lot of vessels, and they find that there's no one on board, but the place hasn't been robbed or anything like that. They're
just
empty. They're literally, everything's there. They haven't been robbed. There's no sign of a struggle. And they reckon that the curse of the Flying Dutchman, you see the ship, you disappear, you end up on the ship type thing. And so there's a lot of that sort of see laddie wearing legends out there, but seriously, but there are ghost ships out there. There are ships that have been abandoned. And
there was one only a couple of years ago, just
they found
a bit
recently.
further north.
Yeah,
and apparently there's still a cup of coffee and breakfast on the table, and the laptop was open, and the skipper nowhere to be found.
Nothing. Absolutely. But there was no struggle. There was no
fallen overboard.
Well, I mean, look at the story of the Mary Rose.
But still, when you got number of people disappeared on the one ship, and there was no sign of robbery or anything like that, makes you wonder what's
Bermuda Triangle.
Ah, that's not actually a triangle though.
The Bermuda Octagon.
Yes, yeah, it's Octagon.
Bermuda shaped like thing.
Just to let everyone out there, I'd noticed my mate Liam brought this up to my attention before we get on the ghost train fire, which happened in Sydney, which I think is absolutely one of the freaky Australian ones out there. There's a new Facebook page out there, the Australian Anti-Parawanker Society. It's awesome. Seriously.
Hobo Bill awesome?
Hobo Bill awesome. Hobo Bill is going to like this page.
Is he?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah? What's so good about it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But basically, this page goes out to all those who are sick of the amount of wankers there are in the paranormal industry. Feel free to vent your frustration and help with bringing public awareness of this. Now, what they've also written down here is they've actually kept this quite good in a way. They said, keep in mind, no personal attacks. Keep names and organisations' names off this page. Any breach of this and you'll be removed. Gee, I sound like a parawanker. Lol. So basically there is guidelines to this. So interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to like it just yet because I want to see what sort of response we get, see if our name gets mentioned several times on there. But yeah, cool. And it's got a picture of a little dog with its head up a big dog's butt. So that's the main page. So good on to the people who have come up with this. I think it's very, very, very interesting. So I just thought I'd share that with the world. So people are going to look for the Australian
Parawankers.
Anti-Parawanker
Society. So yeah, check it out. If you like it, like it. If not, it's up to you.
Free
cool.
country.
And now you've got another story for us, man.
Black
and
Ghost of the Blue Mountains.
No, I'm talking about the Sydney one. Remember the Sydney ghost train fire?
Yes. Didn't I read that when we first came back?
Yeah, but we weren't actually...
I read it all the way through and you weren't recording.
No, because we're listening to you. I explained the situation. I remember it. We were talking about it before. I remember it, but I know people who haven't heard about it would love to hear about it.
Would they?
Yes, they would.
Okay, I'll read it just for them. You can go sleep in the corner.
I am touching the computer and getting the vibe from it.
Yeah, because it's a great
it's the
story.
drugs I'm on. It's the
What are you doing
painkillers.
what are you doing in front of the computer?
Something with painkillers. I remember this event. This is quite...
Yeah, it was only a few years ago in lifetime of history.
Our lifetime history, yeah.
The Horned Man and the Luna Park Ghost Train Fire. I can't see who's written this. It doesn't say. West Sydney's Paranormal Organisation. WestSydneyParanormal.org is the website I'm on. Doesn't say who the author is. But
That's right. Me and Liam are sitting there looking at each other, giving fun expression in our faces on, who's that? Sort of thing. I'm terrible.
I was going to say, it's not Whisper, is it?
No, it's not Whisper. Oh, I don't know. Cool. Anyway, keep going.
All right. The Horned Man and the Luna Park Ghost Train Fire. After reading Pastor Baz real-life story about the ghosts at Luna Park, in Sydney, I thought I'd look up the invisible children of the Magic Kingdom ride. Instead of finding out about that, I discovered a sinister twist in the already very tragic incident of the ghost train fire for which no cause has ever been found. In my internet search, I came across an unexplained mysteries forum where the fire is mentioned along with a personal tale of a spooky happening at Luna Park. What is said about the fire tragedy gave me goosebumps. In March of 1988, Sydney's The Sun newspaper printed its last ever edition, and the front page featured an article, "Occult Link to Luna Park Ghost Train Fire." A mother of one of the boys killed in the fire had submitted a photograph taken at Circular Quay, where the ferries take the passengers to Luna Park on Lavender Bay.
Been there.
Yeah, big deal. Her son was standing next to a bizarre character, dressed in a weird get-up, with a mask over his face and horned headdress, his arm around the boy. This was just before they boarded the ferry to journey over to Luna Park on that fateful night. Mention was made of there having been a full moon on the night of the fire and of bikies for some obscure reason. But the mother firmly believed that a sinister aspect had contributed to the cause of the fire. I tried to find a newspaper article but couldn't in my brief search on the internet. The newspaper stopped printing in 1979, and I'm not sure if anyone kept any archives. I did, however, come across an article on news.com.au that shows the photo of Damien with the horned figure. The article is promoting a book called Australian Tragic by Jack Marks. Journalist and author Jack has spent years researching Australia's underbelly, shining a light on the quirks, misfortunes and tragic turns of fate that they wouldn't dare tell you about in school. Here's a quote from the article about the train fire. Moloch, while waiting at Circular Quay for a ferry to take them to Sydney's Luna Park on June 9, 1979, the Godson family are approached by a satanic-looking figure dressed in a loincloth and wearing a mask with horns. The creature voicelessly places his hand on young Damien Godson's shoulder. Somebody snaps a photograph. It's this last photograph of the boy ever taken. Hours later, Damien, his brother Craig and his father John will burn in the fire that sweeps through the ghost train ride. Nobody will ever see the Horned Man again. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to get to the end of the story.
Yeah, go to the story. Can't start half away. That's why we call you Half a Job Harry, but it doesn't matter. You need to.
The title of that section is Moloch, which means Moloch is either the name of a god or the name of a particular kind of sacrifice associated with fire. There are various references to Moloch. One is, though Moloch sacrifices have traditionally been understood to mean burning children alive to the god Moloch, some have suggested a rite of purification by fire instead. Though perhaps a dangerous one, its reference in the Bible, the word has translated literally as seed, very often meaning offspring. The forms containing milk have been left untranslated. The reader may substitute either Moloch or as a Moloch. The law given to Moses by God expressly forbid the Israelites to do what was done in Egypt or in Sinai. You shall not give any of your children to devote them by the fire to Moloch, and so profane the name of your God. Was the fire a very tragic accident? The exact cause of the fire has never been determined by a coroner inquiry. The coroner has also ruled that while the actions of Luna Park management and staff before and during the fire, and in particular choosing to not following advice on the installation of a sprinkler system in the ride, breached duty of care, charges of criminal negligence should not be laid. The case was reopened in 1987 on new findings, and no new findings were made. Although the police investigation and the coroner inquiry were criticised, the fire forced the closure of Luna Park until 1982, when it reopened under a new name and new owners. was it arson by an underworld figure? In May 2007, Anne Buckingham, a niece of Sydney's underworld figure Abe Saffron, claimed in an interview with the Sydney Morning Herald that her uncle was responsible for the fire. Saffron had previously been associated with 7 other arson attacks in the 2 years following the ghost train fire. Although he repeatedly denied involvement with the ghost train fire, Buckingham claimed the attack was part of a plan for Saffron to gain control of Luna Park lease. Although she stated that the belief that the 7 deaths were not intended, or was it something more sinister? I'm not sure we'll ever know what happened that day, but I pray the victims' families do find some kind of closure.
Well, and that's the thing. I went through Luna Park just recently, actually, and yeah, there's a lot of history behind that place, and a lot of things happen there in its time. Stuff they'd never admit to.
Yeah.
Tough thing. Hey, I've just got one quickly.
DNA all over the place in that place.
All right, you've done that story. I've got one of the most goriest stories I've got to tell you now. You know how I like the gore?
Yeah. It's not a spike through the head, is it?
See this guy's face?
Is that a face?
Well, it's his head.
Yeah.
No face.
Yes.
Drugs are bad. Okay. I'll read the story out for you. This is a legend that's actually true, and this is people have talked about the man with no face, but this is actually the story behind it. One of the most famous intravenous drugs for the generation stories and bizarre behaviour of penicillincide is angel dust, or PCP. Although little is heard about angel dust, it was well known for its ability to both addle and confer superhuman powers upon its abusers. Or so the story went. Tales of some guy who was dusted, as in angel dust, going berserk and beating up 6 cops before 15 more managed to subdue him abound in New York. Witnessed some exceedingly strange dust-induced behaviour, including one patient who'd done the most bizarre thing to himself I'd ever heard in my life. The man smoked dust one day and surprised his friends by politely excusing himself to the bathroom, bringing along his 2 Doberman pinchers. Full stop. So, in the bathroom, he opened up a metal cabinet, removed a straightened razor, cut off his own facial features one by one, and fed them to his dogs. He emerged from the bathroom with no ears, nose, eyelids, lips, or cheeks, and 2 happy-looking dogs. Seriously, we've got a photo of this guy here, and it's just. You just want to throw up. Anyway, his friends, now fairly distraught, brought him to the New York emergency room where the plastic and head and neck surgeons peed themselves, so that they pissed their pants with excitement. This is actually read. Excitement. They looked at him straight away, took him straight away to the operating room. Jokes emerged immediately. The man lost his face. The surgeons tried to save face, etc., etc. Not funny, like bad puns all around. In order to create a new face for this unfortunate patient, the surgeons did a pectoral flap, a fascinating procedure which is pectoral chest muscles. You know, like my man pecs, not like your moobs, but my man pecs. What?
That's so wrong.
Yeah, it is. Muscle removed for the reimplant of the other side of the patient's body. The surgeons don't remove any muscle completely, but they leave intact a fairly artery in the vein. The muscle is then flapped to the spot where it is needed, presumably the hole that is too deep to be filled with more skin, grafting sewn in place. So basically they took this guy's chest and put it on his face. Because that's to graft a face for him. Okay, other side of his side. Once the muscles were well established, the new locations, the surgeons took him back to the OR where they about 200 times to cut the shape and revise the graft, create a new face for him. I know the story of the man with no face is true because I saw him walking down the hall a few weeks after he was admitted. He was wearing a surgical hood, turned back to front with 2 holes cut out for his eyes like the Elephant Man. So there's actually a picture of this guy with... his
face opened up.
There's no face.
Well, no face at all.
It's just
red meat.
Yeah. We always throw the gross stories in there occasionally just for those sickos out there that listen to us. But that's cool. I mean, we've heard about the story of man with no face and stuff like that, but these are actual eyewitness accounts.
Yeah,
of
he's not
stuff.
10 foot tall with 15-foot arms.
Well, it's all changed now. You can actually get a face transplants.
Yeah,
Look
well,
at
that's
that,
right.
That
They
poor
can
woman
actually-
who was attacked by the chimpanzee
the monkey
a
that
couple
ripped
of years
the face
ago.
apart, ripped it off,
Oh, the ones that
basically.
had their faces shot off.
Yeah, with a shotgun,
shotguns,
that young lass who got the
Blew the whole side of
the
her
face off.
That was New Zealand, I think, wasn't it?
yes, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's yeah. We got one about a haunted gym. Haunted gyms.
gym.
I've actually worked in.
I'll never get scared there because I don't go to gyms.
Oh,
Oh, so it
No,
sounds like a
you'd
good
rather go
excuse,
to-
doesn't it? I can't go because there's a haunting
There's
there.
a haunting there, yes.
you'd rather go to Barry Big Arms. Okay, I've actually worked, and this is weird. When I was in New Zealand, I worked everywhere. I actually worked in a gym. I was a regional sales manager for a gym there, and we actually had 2 deaths. Actually, at the gym while I was working there.
Heart attacks?
Yeah, and they weren't that old. And quite often I'd be the last one to leave because we shut at 9. But because I was a regional salesman, I had to stay back and do all the paperwork and make sure everyone was being paid and
Yep.
all everything. Like all the new clients were in the system and stuff like that. And seriously, gym's a weird place at night. Like when you're just you and probably somebody else, and it's just weird. Anyway, there was a ghost who haunts a Charles Page High School at Sand Springs. 40 years ago, there was some construction being done in the gymnasium of the high school where there was an accident or the roof collapsed. One of the workers fell 60 feet through the ceiling and died in the tragic day. The spirit of the walker haunts the school and has been the cause of a high turnover of janitorial staff. Custodians come and go, many quit when they encounter the spirit who makes their appearance mostly in the school gymnasium where he fell. There was a soft indented spot on the gym floor where the man fell, so the evidence is still there where he landed. They say strange sounds can be heard when the spirit is around. The doors open and close, lock themselves. Basketballs can be heard bouncing on the floor, and when there aren't or any around, voices seem to be coming from the musty air of the gym. I can guarantee you gyms are spooky places at night when there's no one else around.
Why?
They just are.
Well, that'd be getting more and more common. You notice the number of 24-hour gyms that have opened up? It's
Yeah.
like,
This
There's
is more
one
like
just
a
down the
basketball
road from
court
us.
rather than a weight gym, though, isn't
Yeah,
it?
this is
Yeah.
like a school gymnasium,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, the gym that I was at, 2 deaths when I was there, and I know there've been deaths beforehand.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about it, and I think a lot of gyms have this problem as well because they do have people there who push themselves too hard,
Oh, exactly.
yeah.
and it doesn't take much to have a coronary or stroke or something like that when you try and overdo it. But I remember speaking to the guy as he was walking in, and he was just an arrogant tool to start with.
Yeah.
There's no excuse, but and then I get a call from friggin', he just died on the treadmill. That's one of them. So you've got this whole scenario of places, and this isn't gyms. This could be anywhere. I mean, I remember working at this gym late at night when I
So
was
that
on
means
my own.
if the weights are getting heavier, they might be pushing down on the weights to make it heavier.
You lost me.
And the spirits of the dead people hanging out in the gyms.
Oh, pushing the weights down and
Yeah.
going, "Hey, you're coming with me." So
Turning the treadmill up on you.
yeah. Hey, guess
Or
what?
Dents are in the wall.
Guess what, guys?
The crossroads of demon.
All right, this is the last story.
Last
then.
one?
Last one.
Crossroads, the meeting or pathways. The meeting and parting of ways have long been regarded as likely places for ghosts or other spiritual activities to take place. Crossroads superstitions can be found in Europe, India, Japan, and among Native Americans. Perhaps because in some parts of the world, murderers, sorcerers, and suicides were buried at crossroads with a stake or nail driven through the corpse, an act known as nailing down the ghost, to prevent the ghost returning.
Sorry, I just got a sound effect there. Keep going.
Or perhaps the cross shape of the intersection mimicked the consecrated ground of a churchyard, a burial place denied to murderers. Perhaps crossroads were places where territories, routes, or villages collided, and they therefore became regarded as a meeting place between the spirits realm and earth. Crossroads are believed to be haunted by spirits who take great delight in leading travellers astray. In German folklore, a ghost rider is believed to haunt a crossroad in Schleswig. The neck of the horse stretches across the path and prevents people from passing. in European lore, the dead are said to appear at crossroads, and in Welsh legend, every crossroad is thought to be inhabited by a spirit of the dead on All Hallows Eve. In modern evolution of the tradition, crossroads on the rural Mississippi Delta area are reportedly frequented by either Lucifer or his minions, wandering musicians and minstrels seeking to bargain their immortal soul for success in the musical endeavours, known to go to crossroads to meet with the devil. The cross shape of crossroads, in some traditions, protection against the spirits that are said to haunt it. For example, in Irish folklore, humans who have been kidnapped by fairies are thought to be able to gain their freedom at crossroads. One German superstition holds that if you are chased by a ghost or a demon, you should head to a crossroad for protection. On reaching the crossroad, the spirit will vanish in an unearthly shriek.
Yes, also the crossroads phenomenon also goes if you go in and bury something in the middle of a crossroad, like you've got like a container or something like that, and you put a personal artifact or something in there, you actually summon a demon and grant you your most desire, whether you want to be, and that's where the movie Crossroads, a lot of that where you can play like the demon, you develop a special skill.
Devil went down to Georgia.
That scenario where, but you have this tin or container and you bury it in a crossroads intersection of a road, but there's a catch. In 10 years' time, the devil comes back and claims your soul. He brings the dogs from hell and to drag you to hell, so to speak. So that's another thing. So whether what you've tried is another thing for you, Wadsy. If you become like super cool all of a sudden, we know what you've done, but we'll see in 10 years' time we won't see anymore.
Exactly.
So this is what I mean. This is all.
So I'll just stay cool.
Just stay cool as you are, dude.
Yep.
But there you go. So that's an interesting fact, and this is where all these pop culture, urban legends, all the rest come from. And guess what, gentlemen?
Don't tell me we're out of time.
We've come to the end of our show.
I asked you not to tell me.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, look, just a
Never
few.
listen to me.
That's right. You heard in the ad break before. Don't forget the Brisbane Zombie Walk.
16 days.
16 days' time, we have a countdown to the Brisbane Zombie Walk. You're going to see us from Naked Zombie. We're going to be there doing our thing. I may still be on crutches, so I won't be fast food. I'll be slow. Hopefully I'll have a walking stick.
No running zombie for you.
No running away from
zombie.
zombies for me. So I'll be hobbling my way as long. Also, Supernova. Don't forget that. We're going to be at Supernova. HorrorCon coming up also next month in November. We'll be at the January, something like that. We'll be at the January HorrorCon. If you want the guys from Naked Zombie Radio to come to your special event, please get in contact via the website. Go to the link, say, guys, we want you there, yada, yada, yada. Give us the details and we see we can make a knot in our schedule. We are quite busy at the moment as well with, we've got lots of different things happening with upcoming events that not many people know about because we're keeping it all very secret to ourselves because we're like that. Also, don't forget to check out the thing for Don Mears coming up with on the Ustream, which is a spirit level. Please check that out. Also, don't forget to help the guys out at Whisper for Darkness Falls in India. Go to their page and please help them out with that. What else we got? I'm just trying to think. Stuff with it.
That's about it, I think.
That covers it for the next month. It's an action-packed month through October. So.
Yeah, so sorry there was no shows beginning of the week because basically I was in too much pain even to do anything. I wasn't with it at all. And I find that painkillers do make me very, very, very ill. They do not agree with me one bit. So yeah, lots happening. If you want, like I said, want the Naked Zombie boys out there to come and see. If you want to be a guest on Naked Zombie Radio, please get in touch with us. Let me know.
Any questions?
If you got any questions, send it an email. If you had an experience you want to share with us on the show, send it in. We do this for you guys. We want to hear your stories.
Yep.
That's what it's about. And get on the website, leave us comments, questions, suggestions, what you want to hear, or things that you'd like to be different on the show, or you want something new on the show. Like people want to hear more about the history side of things, buddy. Liam, with you. So we're going to set something up for you especially for that.
Yep.
People want to hear us beat Wadsy on a regular basis with rubber hosing, so we're going to have a whole show on
pipes.
beating Wadsy, the Wadsy beating
I'd like
episode.
to see you try.
Hobo Bill sends his love and regards to everyone out there.
Yeah, where's he been tonight? Slacko?
He's over there.
One show and he's fallen apart.
He hasn't fallen apart. Hobo Bill's he's taken a rest for a couple of days. He looks stoned, doesn't he?
He does, doesn't he?
He's just standing there like
He's out of it.
He's it's
Bad
funny, look
batch
on
of
his
cask
face going.
wine.
He's got a smile on his face, so he must have done something good.
Anyway, there's a question that I've been sent through. And if you have a question for Hobo Bill, please, if you want to see the YouTube channel, jump on that. Check out us on Twitter. Check us on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. You'll find all that stuff. You'll see Hobo Bill on YouTube. He does a little 5-minute segment there and all the rest of it. And we do so much.
We do.
We do lots and to entertain
So much
you.
for the community.
We do.
Yes.
I don't know what it is yet, but we will be. If you want us to come out, hey, if any groups out there want us to come out to a special location and for investigation, that's another thing we're doing at the moment.
Yep.
Please get in touch with us and we'll try and make it out to an investigation with you. So we'll bring our recording equipment, we'll interview you during the investigation and have you there on the show. Basically, we'll do it as an investigation with the show and we'll broadcast it and stuff like that. So get in touch if you've got a cool location you want brought, on the show, so to speak. Let us know. And we'll make an episode out of it. And that's about it all I've got. Liam,
It's about all I've got as well.
Wadsy,
That's it for me. I'm done. Dusted.
if it's on the net, it must be.
Oh, you're saying bye now, eh?
Yeah,
I
same
thought you were
thing.
going to twaddle on a bit more.
No, that's it, yeah.
Okay. Oh. Bloody Mary.
Spooky, yeah, Bloody Mary, she's
Bloody
coming
Mary,
for you.
she's coming for you.
Actually, that's twice now, doesn't it say anymore? You're looking at your computer screen, which is reflective surface, and
Bloody Mary.
oh, that's it, you're done.
He hadn't flushed the toilet yet.
Yeah.
No, flush toilet, shower.
All right, and
Right.
what you think?
If it's on the net, it must be true.
And like I say each time I do the show, because I've got nothing else better to say, have a good night, have a safe night. If you're out investigating, please don't let Hobo Bill into your bathroom.
Or Bloody Mary.
Oh, Bloody Mary. Have a good night. You're listening to The Naked Zombie, for everything for paranormal to pop culture and all the other crap we're going with here. So have a good night, everyone. We'll speak to you the next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.